Well, good morning, everybody. On this nice dry morning, thank goodness. So hopefully others in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina are doing okay tonight. I'm Patrick Mumford, President and CEO of the GBA, and welcome you to this morning's session, which I hope you will find to be extremely beneficial. It's set up to help us understand the comprehensive nature of economics and economic development in this community. And we'll get into more details in a bit. But first, I would like to ask Obi Batista to come up and get us started with the invocation. He's going to do his runway walk from all the way in the back. Looking good, looking good. Yep, still good, don't trip.
Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? We are running on Spanish time today, amen? Listen, my name is Obi Batista. I am the student pastor here at City Church in Gaston, and I'm also the executive director of Launch Gaston. So it's a pleasure to be with you this morning. Thank you so much, Patrick, for inviting me. Let's bow our heads as we go in prayer this morning. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, in this moment we gather, we come together as a community of souls driven for you, each on a journey of enterprise and creation. As we commence today, Lord, to nurture our small businesses and uplift our communities as we continue to grow, we humbly seek your presence in this place. Guide us as we navigate the pathways of our lives and our community, and bestow upon us the wisdom to overcome challenges and the humility to learn from one another, Lord. May the connections that we form here become a source of strength and inspiration to one another. And as we acknowledge the diverse backgrounds that are here today, unique struggles that some among us have faced, may that serve as a beacon of empowerment for each and every one of us. Lord, give us the fortitude to persevere in the face of adversity and in the face of growth in our communities. And more than anything, give us the compassion to extend a helping hand to those in need as we continue to grow in our enterprise. Bless us this morning. Bless this meeting. Bless all of us that are in this place today. And bless our families as we sow seeds of collaboration and growth. In your beautiful and precious name we thank you. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. So you mentioned humility to learn and growth. We're going to talk about all that stuff today. So that was a great way to start. These presentations, these programs can't exist without sponsorships, and we're pleased to have Piedmont Lithium sponsoring today's event. And I'd like to ask Melissa Gordon to come up and introduce Piedmont Lithium.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Melissa Gordon, Vice President of Government Affairs for Piedmont Lithium. It's so good to look around this room and see friends, colleagues, former bosses sitting in the room. Hi. We're so pleased to be here with all of you to celebrate local business here in our community. For those of you who don't know, Piedmont Lithium is a global company headquartered in Belmont, and we are focused on supplying the electric vehicle industry and battery-grade lithium. We're developing our Carolina Lithium project as an integrated mining to lithium hydroxide operation here in Gaston County, and it's expected to be a key contributor to America energy security, global decarbonization, and one of the most sustainable lithium operations in the world. Real quick, for the bulk of my career, I worked in economic development, spending more than 12 years with Gaston County's Economic Development Commission, helping to bring many small businesses and large businesses to our area. And today I'm fortunate to sit on the other side of the table, working for Piedmont to bring more opportunity to Gaston, opportunity that is literally, it begins right under our feet. Quick, sorry. So we're here to talk about how we are going to continue spurring the growth of industry here in Gaston County. Locally owned businesses are the backbones of our thriving communities, and Carolina Lithium will depend greatly on them. At our table, we've invited Beam Construction and Custom Hydraulics and Steel Specialty, key companies that we plan to work with our operations. Steel Specialty helped us frame our headquarters there in Belmont, and we continue to grow that relationship with you guys. To that, I'll turn it over. Thank you so much, Gaston Business Association, for having us.
Well, thank you, Melissa, and you all literally have likely heard about Piedmont Lithium's effort with the mine, and it's extremely complicated. There's a lot of information, a little bit of maybe misinformation or confusion about what's going on there. I'm not here to pitch a particular position on anything today, except to say, what was it, humble learning with humility. So Piedmont Lithium has a great setup there in Bessemer City to go learn about the mine, learn the science behind this, understand what's happening globally, locally, the responses that they've made to concerns that have been raised by the community. And I would ask anybody that has questions about it, get in touch with Piedmont Lithium and just learn about it. And then have a position, but have that position from understanding more about this really, really complex and globally critical issue. So thank you for being here today. As I started off, I mentioned that there's this comprehensive nature of economic development that we need to, what have I done wrong now? I did mash a button. Sorry. So we know that Gaston County is flourishing, frankly, with large developments, and the EDC is doing a great job of leading that effort for us and bringing in manufacturing, industrial uses in the business parks. So while that gets a lot of headlines, what doesn't get the headlines is the small businesses that create 2/3 of the jobs or so in this community and across our country. And we have some opportunities in Gaston that are extremely competitive in the region, thanks to what's just been put here, God-given resources. It's going to be really hard for someone to replicate 2 rivers and a mountain and the beautiful environment that we have here in Gaston, the 13 municipalities. We've talked about this before in these sessions. So today is to help us understand, what does that mean? How do we leverage all of that in a way that helps drive the ecosystem here in Gaston County? So we're pleased to have several different folks come in and give their perspective. We start with 3 people talking about what's going on in either their jurisdiction or their organization, and then we're going to have a little panel discussion. And so the first is kind of the what, and the panel will be the so what. So what does that mean to us? How do we continue to understand the dynamics of this real complex systems approach to the economy here in Gaston? And how can we as business leaders support that? And what can we do to help people thrive in this community? So without further ado, I'd like to ask Todd Stroop to come up. He's going to talk about what's going on in Lowell. And in some of these sessions you've seen, we talk about just development. But the focus today will be development and integrating the quality of life aspects to that and what makes this place so attractive. So Todd? And don't do what I just did and hit the button, because then that's...
All right. Thank you, Patrick, for that introduction. And yes, I am Todd Stroop. I am the GIS analyst for the city of Lowell, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk about some developments that are going on in our community. All right, so just to start off a quick snapshot of Lowell. Our current population is about 3,600 people, and in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to have a lot of residential development that I'll talk about here in a second. So we're estimating about 746 new homes that are being constructed in our jurisdiction. So with the new growth of the homes, we estimate that that will push our future population to about 5,400 people. And right now, add that 746 new homes to our total housing units, and then that'll push us over to 2,300 people. And we're just starting to see some of that growth from Mecklenburg County coming over into our county that other communities in Eastern Gaston County are seeing, and it's just kind of cool to see that in our community as well. So downtown revitalization is important to all communities. You want to strengthen the core of your central business district, and you want it to be a draw for your citizens and for people coming to visit your community. So a couple of things that have happened in our downtown Lowell is May 20th, we had a ribbon cutting at our new downtown park, McCord Family Park. And we also, that was actually an exciting weekend because we also had our first barbecue competition, which was unfortunately had a miss, but I will definitely be there next year. And a couple of new businesses that are opening up or about to open up is North Main Kava Bar, which I believe there was an article in the Gaston Gazette saying that that's the first of its type in Gaston County, which is kind of unique and cool. We're about to have a new restaurant open up called Miami Fusion Cafe. It's, I understand it has quite the following and the reputation. There's one in Denver that I understand that people drive many miles to drive to that. So that'll be interesting to see how Miami Fusion will draw people to our downtown. And then we're also discussing a social district. So residential development, like I mentioned, we're predicting an estimated of 746 new homes. Most of this development is right around George Poston Park, up North Main Street. We have five developments: Spencer Ridge, which is going to be 407 single-family homes. Lowell Grove Street Townhomes, right behind the Sundrop Corporate Center on Grove Street. That's going to be 177 units. And then currently under construction is River Heights. The townhouse side of it is going to be 50 townhouses. That's what's being constructed right now. And then also right across the street from that will be Lowell Woods. That will be another 84 single-family homes. And then, of course, on Mill Street, right beside the Lowell Library branch, is 8 units. Wow. What did I do? Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. We all know that during the pandemic, outdoor recreation thrived. It became important. It helped a lot of us through that time. So the city of Lowell, we want to improve our recreation assets. And what's really cool is that we received a $500,000 Part F grant application to start revitalizing one of our parks, Harold Rankin Park. It's going to be in 2 phases. Phase one is some of the upgraded facilities for that is going to be like pickleball courts, a bocce ball court, new multi-purpose field, and we're going to be building a new, upgrading the playground, and then also restroom facilities with ADA and ABA compliant upgrades. So 2 days ago, we had the groundbreaking at what will be our future riverfront park. It was we had a great turnout. We probably had about 75 to 100 people show up to that. If y'all missed the explosion, I do apologize. I think there's videos of it online. That was a really interesting way to kick off the park. So that's going to be on the right side of the slide. That's the concept of what the Riverfront Park will look like. And what's really cool about this is it's also where we're going to build our future public works building, which will, so once it's constructed and public works has moved into there, then that will free up the current public works building that is downtown adjacent, which could be a potential future private commercial business for our community. And so some of the proposed amenities for that is going to be an amphitheater, kayak launch, which is really cool to have be part of a blue way and our community, and then also a skate park, and then we're finally going to get a splash pad that our citizens really, really want. Oh, and we received a $2 million grant to help start the demolition of the buildings there. So the Carolina Thread Trail, recreation is very, very important. And I think it was in the last year, Carolina Thread Trail, they announced, I believe is it 22-mile South Fork corridor? If I'm wrong about that, I do apologize. But so the city of Lowell we are along that corridor, which is very exciting. So we were awarded a construction grant to construct a 2,752 linear feet of trail that, if you see the project map right there, the red line represents the trail, that alignment that grant is going to help build. And Gaston County Parks and Rec, they also received a construction grant from the Carolina Thread Trail that our red line stops at the future River Park parcel right there. It's going to be picked up at George Poston Park, and then it's going to run north. It's going to help complete the gap up to Spencer Mountain. So in 2022, there was a trail benefits economic impact study that was done by the Institute of Transportation Research and Education at NC State University. And what this impact study did was it examined 6 existing Carolina Thread Trail and kind of just studied it and saw how those particular trails, what type of economic impact they had on the surrounding businesses and the communities that they ran through. I pulled out the what is now the Far Yarns Family Trail, which was formerly the South Fork Trail. It connects Lowell to McAdenville through the trailhead from Riverview neighborhood, and it goes to the Top Riverkeeper Boathouse. And according to the study, an estimated 20,000 people used the trail, and then 1,600 kayakers used it in the last year. And then there was 35 businesses located a half mile up the trail, which helped facilitated $3.2 million in annual business sales. So that's just really great. And the city of Lowell, we are really excited about that type of economic impact that our Carolina Thread Trail will have for our community. So the George Poston Park and Pump Track. So Lowell, we annexed George Poston Park, both sides of Poston Park, into our jurisdiction in 2021. We've all been there. It's a great facility. It has the pump track, 12 miles of hiking and mountain biking trails, and then of course all the ball fields. So the pump track is one of the big park attractions. Between 2019 and 2022, they hosted 5 events there. The Red Bull UCI Pump Track World Championship Qualifier and the USA Pump Track Championship. And during these 5 events, they had 806 total attendees, and then it generated $80,000 in direct business sales at the events, and it supported 67 jobs. So just having that type of attraction and in Eastern Gaston County and within Lowell city limits is great because of the economic driver it can be. So a few other developments at Lowell. We restarted our Lowell Facade Grant Program. And if you're a local business within our community and your business is within a certain zoning district, then you can apply for a facade grant up to $2,500. And of course, that's a 50-50 match. So if y'all know any business owners in Lowell and they want maybe some help redoing their exterior, then please let them know about this grant opportunity. And then also the Groovy Beast restaurant will be opening up soon at 1611 Westover Street, which is the former Icons building. And that is some highlights of some of the economic development going on in Lowell, North Carolina. And next we have Michael Applegate.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks for that overview. It's really exciting to see all the municipalities and what they're doing in their downtowns and what they're doing to connect outdoor recreation into those downtown business districts. And I'm Mike Applegate. I'm the Director of Tourism and Development for Gaston County, and this is our mission, if you will. This is what we get up and try to accomplish every day when we go to work, but we're trying to optimize Gaston County's brand experiences to drive visitation and partner economic growth. So you can tell by our logo right there, it's really all about outdoor recreation, and we're blessed where we are to have the outdoor amenities that we have, and we feel that we can differentiate ourselves and really help to drive the local economy through tourism by connecting businesses to the outdoors and the outdoor recreation enthusiasts. So these numbers are hot off the press, actually. I just got them last week on Friday. But it takes about 8 months for the state in tourism economics to put together the county-by-county visitor impact for North Carolina. And this is what our industry looks like across the county, if you will. So this is basically globally how big the tourism industry is in Gaston County. And I think these numbers are eye-opening. But last year, in the 12 months of 2022, $336 million of visitor impact. That's direct spending by visitors, people who reside 50 miles or more away from Gaston County, traveling to Gaston County either for the day or for an overnight stay, and leaving behind their discretionary dollars. And that's really what it's all about. We are funded by 3% of the hotel occupancy tax, and that's where we get our money to promote the destination, so we want to keep that virtuous cycle going. The $336 million was a 16% increase over 2021, and also a 15% increase over our best ever year in 2019, and that was $291 million. You see, we employ about 2,200 people in the tourism industry here locally, and generate about another $22 million of state and local tax collections. And also the benefit to the community and the residents is not only that they get these additional amenities that we're all trying to create to engage the outdoor enthusiasts, but also the spending by visitors works towards offsetting the local population's tax burden. And overall, that comes out to about $94 per person. Now, I drove it down another level so you can see what kind of industries, if you will, visitors spend on. A large proportion of it is food and beverage, so whether you're day trip or overnight, you have to have your meals. Transportation companies, about 30% of it as well. So not everybody stays overnight in a hotel, and now our lodging is growing and expanding into Airbnbs. We have about 4,000 rooms or so on Airbnbs every month in the county. So some people are making those choices as well. Recreation represents about 10% of the spending, and one of the things that's nice to see in working with John Searby with the Catawba Riverkeeper, who's also on our Tourism Advisory Board, is that we have so many free public amenities, if you will. The state park, all the communities have done a great job in opening up access through the parks to the thread trail to the river, that there's not a lot of all the time for visitors to spend money on, but we're trying to fix that. And with John doing some of the guided tours and kayak rentals, and we're seeing more and more outfitters coming into the community, we know that there's a lot of room to continue to grow this outdoor recreation spend. Having the free amenities is fantastic. It draws people here, but then we need to connect those amenities to another place where they can spend some money. And then lastly, you see our retail is about 8%. So again, plenty of room to grow as we continue to draw and attract more visitation. So the first two slides were an overview of what the whole county looks like as far as the tourism industry. My department can't claim credit for all of that. Obviously, we're here to try to grow that and promote that and take advantage of that fact and be good representatives of the tourism industry. But I wanted to also talk to you a little bit about what it is that our department and our business development efforts are producing every year. And last year, we hosted 49 events that Brandon Black in our office, who handles business development, brought here. In total, they had about $6.8 million worth of direct spending by the attendees and the participants in those 49 events. And if you look at our $1.2 million budget for last year, that's about a 5.5, 6 to 1 return on investment. So, we'll take those numbers, and this is what we focus on what we're contributing to the destination. And not everything can be measured. Some of the things are softer impacts, if you will. And one that I'll share with you is Todd had mentioned the pump track. And one of the great things about building the pump track along with Park and Rec and the tourism development fund balance, one of the positives of doing that was that Velo Solutions and Red Bull also helped us to manufacture that track. And as a result, they guaranteed us events in future years. Now that Red Bull in and of itself is a great brand to be aligned with. And if you look at just last year in 2022's event, they posted 11 different times over the course of the 2-day event. And that reached an audience of just over 6 million people. And if you look at what that would cost to reach 6 million people digitally at about $8.50 a cost per thousand, that would be about a $50,000 buy for our department. And we don't spend that kind of money on digital advertising. So that's just another impact that sometimes goes unnoticed. Again, driving that down into each of these categories: food and beverage, lodging, retail, transportation, recreation. These are the industries that visitors will spend on when they come. You see, it's in a little bit different order, more tilted towards the lodging. Of course, if it's a multi-day event, the attendees need overnight accommodations. But again, still some ancillary spending on transportation and outdoor recreation, so people still finding the time to enjoy some of the amenities. And then just to wrap up, we're blessed here with the amenities that we have, obviously, and the county's responsible for some of them, if you will, some parks that we take care of and operate. But by and large, the reason why our destination is as successful as it is because of the choices that the individual business owners have made to call Gaston County home. So if you are a business that wants to attract more visitors from out of town, if you have a motivating factor, if you have a motivation for visitors to want to leave their homes and come and visit Gaston County, we want to connect with you. We want to help you promote. We want to tell your story, because in our industry, it's all about telling compelling stories to try to convince and influence visitors on why they should choose spending their hard-earned discretionary dollars in Gaston County. And we're doing that with our website, on social media, with our printed visitors guide, and now just most recently launched a monthly newsletter. But we have all these tools, and we really consider ourselves a media company here to promote Gaston County And if there are ways that we can help tell your story through some of these vehicles, we'd love to do it. So with that, I'll wrap up and hand it over to John Sarian. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is John Searby. I'm the Executive Director of Catawba Riverkeeper. And you might, if you don't know anything about us, you might be scratching your head wondering why an organization that has its focus on preserving, protecting natural resources has anything to do with economic development. But the reality is, our organization is in Gaston County for both those reasons. And it's been an important part of our development as an organization. I'm going to blast through some slides that I normally take very deep dives on and focus on just a couple here in my presentation. First of all, if you're not familiar with us, our mission is to preserve, protect, and restore the waters of the Catawba Watery River Basin for all through education, engagement, and advocacy. And we're a 25-year-old organization that spent the first 22 years of our life in Uptown Charlotte. And in 2021, we moved our headquarters to McAdenville on the banks of the South Fork. And the South Fork is the largest tributary of the Catawba and contributes about 30% of the water to Lake Wiley. So it is a very, very important component to our river basin. The river as a whole and as a resource to this region cannot be understated in its importance. Over 2 million people get their drinking water from this river. Over 3 million people get their electricity generated by this river. There's 9,000 miles of waterways. And so it has the moniker of being the hardest working river in America because more people get their electricity per mile from this river than any other river in the United States. And so our mission is really to ensure that that resource is viable for generations to come. And if you're not familiar with the basin, this just gives you a little perspective of how large this is. It's 5,000 square miles, 26 counties in North and South Carolina. It starts up in the mountains near Black Mountain, North Carolina, and flows to Lake Hickory, where it turns south and includes Lake Norman, Mountain Island Lake, which is our drinking water reservoir here in Gaston County, includes Lake Wiley, and then all the way down to the Congaree National Park in South Carolina. And this map is important because it gives you a little bit of perspective of, yes, Charlotte is in the middle and it's a big urban core part of this river basin, but the vast majority of the Catawba River Basin is communities like Gaston County, Gastonia, and the small communities along the river. We break our work up into sub-watersheds, and I could go on for an hour on this slide alone, so I'm going to skip that one. This is the one I want to focus on. So the way we organize our work, we are a regional entity. And for folks who live in Gaston County, that's not always a high level of awareness understanding. But we have 3 of our 6 operations are here in Gaston County. We have a satellite office in Morganton, in downtown Morganton, where we do our Northern Basin operations out of. We have 2 employees there. We have a Southern Basin office in Fort Lawn, South Carolina, on the banks of the river there, and we have an employee there. We have a floating classroom on Lake Norman that is based in Mooresville, and we do a lot of educational programs up on Lake Norman. But our 3 primary facilities are here in Gaston County, and they're all on the banks of the South Fork. When we first moved here, we opened the boathouse. That's in McAdenville at the South Fork Trail, the Farr Family Trailhead. It is our kayak outfitter. We use it for a lot of storage. We do kayak rentals out of there. And that was a vital piece of us moving to Gaston County. Our office in Uptown Charlotte would have fit inside this room twice, and we had 2 parking spaces. And we have 6 boats, 40 kayaks, 3 trailers, 4 trucks. And so those were sitting in a storage lot somewhere on the other side of Charlotte. So when we started looking about, as we were growing and thinking about how are we going to be able to do all the different kinds of things we do, having a place to park all that stuff was really important. Being able to do it at a place that we could also engage the community, generate revenue through kayak rentals and selling beer and having events The boathouse was a perfect project for us. And that was really the start of a relationship with FAR that led to us then opening our headquarters in the Dynamo 31 building in downtown McAdenville. If you haven't been there, we have about 5,000 square feet in downtown McAdenville in what I think is the coolest adaptive reuse project in the region right now. We have about a 2,000 square foot tap room called the River Room in the front of house. It has a 1,000 square foot patio that is the best view in Gaston County, in my personal opinion. And then back of house, we have offices for our 12 employees that work here in McAdenville in our water quality labs that process over 7,000 samples each year to communicate to the community if it's safe to swim, if it's safe to be on the water, and what their water quality is all about. And then at the end of last year, we partnered with the town of Cramerton to open Confluence, which is an arts, music, and recreation space in downtown Cramerton. And we host live music every Friday night. We have an artist in residence program there, and we also rent kayaks, bikes, and other outdoor recreation amenities there. That facility is very unique in that the public-private, public-nonprofit partnership is generating direct dollars that funds an employee at Catawba Riverkeeper. So all the proceeds from Confluence go to offset the salary for our South Fork watershed manager. And all she does all day is focus on how to make the South Fork better from a water quality, flood resiliency, and outdoor recreation standpoint. So that is a way of taking direct impact from a traditional kind of for-profit model and making it a connection to our mission. The work that we do in the environmental space is really around stormwater, permitted pollution, swimmable, drinkable, fishable waters, restoration. That's not the topic for discussion today. So if any of your groups, any of your municipalities would like me to spend an inordinate amount of time talking to you about our work, I am happy to do that. But please go check out our website to learn a little bit more about how we work and what we do. I will just give you some of the highlights. Education is a really important part of what we do. And so all of our spaces have an educational component. They have a place at the River Room in McAdenville. All summer long, we had school kids running through there with summer camps. We do a program where we bring underserved kids from Charlotte and from Gaston County Boys and Girls Club out and give them a chance to get on the water. It's a really cool program called Creek. And we engage with the scouts and all other kinds of community groups. Recreation is a backbone of what we do. Our saying at Catawba Riverkeeper is we use engagement with the water to fund protection of the water. So our engagement programs, meaning kayak rentals, eco tours, anything that gets you out on the water in a fun and interesting way, generates about 15% of our total revenue and engages over 2,000 volunteers. Volunteerism drives our organization. Last year, volunteers donated somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000 worth of value to our organization. And then our core work is really our Protect team, and they're out working to make sure that they're understanding water quality, communicating that to the community, doing independent sampling behind state and federal agencies, and making sure that those are being reported to the citizens, doing advocacy to strengthen protections, and working with state and local officials to try to improve water quality protections. Because the intersection here is really about how do we do smart development in Gaston County? You know, you hear all the time from Gaston County Travel and Tourism, from economic development. One of the reasons people move here is our outdoor resources. They love having open spaces, trails, access to the river. And so we have to, as a community, make sure we're protecting those resources. Because if that's the reason people want to move here, we have to keep giving them that reason to move here. We can't turn into an Atlanta suburb and everything's paved over and we don't have any opportunities to be outside. So I'm going to jump onto the panel and leave this here for you guys to think about how you might want to get involved with our organization. But we do all kinds of stuff on the river, outdoor recreation, public engagement tell people we're the only place, to my knowledge, in the entire country that you can drink a beer and protect clean water at the same time.
All right, I'd like to say we teed up all of that to the perfection in which it was presented. That wouldn't be the case. You all did great. Todd, Michael, John, thanks for setting this thing up for what I hope will be a rich conversation now with the panel. So I'd like to invite Eric Clay and Emily Andrus up, and they can introduce themselves. So we heard about growth, we heard about intentional growth, thoughtful growth, we heard a little bit about the arts, and Emily will fill us in more on that, and the fact that natural resources a big part of the growth here in Gaston County, and how do we leverage that in concert with the other big projects that we see coming through. So we haven't talked about transportation, we haven't talked about all the other big issues that we have, but it's just interesting to me. I hope you're seeing these connections. It's all related. None of this activity occurs really all by itself. So I'd like to introduce Eric Clay and Emily Andrus. You know John, and just start with Emily. Just tell us a little about you and why you're here, and then I'll have a few questions for you, and then hopefully, time permitting, we'll open up some questions to the audience as well. So, Emily.
First of all, I've got a vocal tremor. It gets worse when I'm excited, and I'm sorry I heard what you did. And I'm over there going, yes, yes. So I'm at Emily Andrus. I own Awaken Gallery. I purchased the building in 2016. It was a mess. My reason for being here today is basically to tell you all what to do. That's what artists do. But no, just really the concept of thinking creatively, and the key to all of it is collaboration. Mount Holly's a great example of what collaboration can do to create so much in so little time.
Good morning, my name is Eric Clay. I am the Vice President of Mecca Commercial Real Estate and the Managing Partner here in Gaston County. So our main focus of our business every day is commercial brokerage and office, industrial, land, retail, sales and leasing to those different departments, and also development in Gaston County. So we work every day with different partners and companies on development here in Gaston County on their behalf and also on our behalf.
And you know me, I'm a proud client of Mecca Realty.
I see a lot of them out here.
So Emily, I want to touch on the word collaboration. So help the audience better understand, what does that public-private collaboration look like that you've experienced, and how might that be unique here in Gaston?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I was a partner in a gallery in South End in Charlotte, and we were doing great. All of a sudden, I started seeing the writing on the wall. Galleries were getting pushed out of their spaces. Our rent went from $1,600 to $4,200 overnight. So I knew this was coming, and I started looking for something to buy. Mount Holly, quite frankly, was an accident. I didn't know it was there. And I found this messed up building. I mean, you know it's bad when on the listing, it's just a picture of the outside of the building and nothing else. And it was bad. It was what I was dreaming of. And so I was able to get it cheaply. Starting the collaboration, the city gave me 2 grants to help bring it back to life that amounted to $30,000. You can't give me something without expecting 10 times back. So I started thinking, what am I gonna do? Okay, let's do a lantern parade. And that was insane. 1, I wanted people to know where Mount Holly was. 2, I wanted to start highlighting arts in the schools because a thriving arts program brings up school pride, brings up grade, plenty of studies, look it up. So what happened is Brian Huff, the mayor, I said to him, I need money, I need a woman to come from Ireland to teach how to make these darn things, okay? So he goes, I gotcha. Next day, he introduced me to Jeff Stanton, who owns McDonald's. Oh yeah, here's your money. Literally, it was that fast. I needed more money for little things. So the little businesses, the dentists, just everybody, even Freightliner, ponied up money so that we could have big cash prizes. We could get people there. And we got this done in 22 days. Workshop to first was 22 days. It's now something that people can't take. They're so excited. We just taught a workshop at Confluence with 40 more people. I had taught another one with 40. We've got over 860 students that will be doing it, okay? Now, how does that help Mount Holly? We did a collaborative thing leading up to this. I was having an opening. We called it the Art of Mountain Holly, Vintage Nested, the Art of Furniture Painting, the Art of the Perfect Latte for the coffee. And we had a sidewalk runway for Catalyst, which was incredible. There was music everywhere. In this little town, models walking because they collaborated with Talent Inc., who was next door. And so we have found with every collaboration, when the water rises, when the water's high, all boats rise. And so we've seen more businesses coming into downtown, more businesses, small businesses like me, buying buildings. And it's the most incredible investment you can imagine. But it's not just the big companies. It's the small businesses that are getting involved, that are staying open late when I have a big opening. But the Lantern Parade, that night, their sales are up to the top of their years, including Christmas. And that's incredible. We need more of that. And collaboration, as I said, is absolutely key. We have it with the city government. We've got it with the big businesses. We've got it with the small businesses. And it's key to bringing these people all together and making these towns thrive.
Thank you, I mean, that's great. That leads me to McAdenville. Eric forgot to mention he and his dad are doing a lot of work in McAdenville. So small businesses, small towns can have a huge impact on the economy. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there in McAdenville.
Sure. First, good job. We actually sold Emily that crummy building, Sam Klein office. So McAdenville's been fun to work on. We're fortunate to have Far Yards as one of our biggest customers, clients. My dad was actually director of real estate for Far back in the mid-90s, and we started our own company in 2004, and because of that relationship, we still advise and manage assets for them, and we meet weekly in McAdenville, and I hope you all have been able to enjoy McAdenville and come to downtown and see the new tenants. The whole Main Street's been revitalized. We helped do the building, the Dynamo 31 building. That was kind of step 2 after the McAdenville Village has been built out all the way through. That Saucy Burbank, Montera have come through, and we finished that now. But Dynamo was a super cool opportunity in McAdenville. We saw the vision. We were lucky enough to find John and the Riverkeeper to be the anchor of that and the catalyst really for that building. And it went through the design and development of that building and then leased it out. So we've got about 4,000 square feet left. My office is actually in that building. I love it. It's such a great feel to be there every day. And so it's at a great location, but we continue to work on the next phases through McAdenville with the company. We just finished the kind of the leg of the thread trail from John's Boathouse down to Hickory Grove Road. That's now open to the public. It will continue to get better as we do more development up and down that river. The company owns about 60 acres that's on the South Fork River that we're planning right now, and we've hired civil engineers to start phase 1 of that development. That includes multifamily, single-family homes, townhomes, and then the big part of it is the plant number 3. And I don't know if you've come through downtown McAdenville, you've seen the mill. That's about 40,000 square feet that sits in the center of town that we've redone. All the windows have been replaced in it, the roof's replaced. All the bones are there. And we've been planning that to be, conceptually right now, a brewery, a vented food hall space, and a event center along with some other retail that's added to it there on Main Street. So all that overlooks that Carolina Thread Trail. It overlooks the dam on the South Fork River that John has activated with kayakers, and it's just a fantastic feel. So you take all that and the quality of life that we're looking for people to live, to work, to play, and enjoy the assets that we have. We feel like this is a really important project for Gaston County. Rising tide floats all boats, right? Tourism. It's a big deal, and we're being very careful with the company. The company is very cautious. They want to do it right. We know how important it is, so we're not rushing it. We talk about it a lot, and we're going to get it right because it's important for Gaston County.
Thank you, Eric, and Bob, thanks for all your work on this as well. John, what advice would you give somebody that's noodling around to relocate their office, looking in the Charlotte region? How would you advise them about the opportunities here in Gaston?
Call me.
Yeah, I got Eric on speed dial.
They have a building, but after that.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about our decision-making process of moving to Gaston County, we had the unique factor of the river as a component of why we were looking here. Our board very intentionally wanted to be on the banks of the river somewhere. And we wanted to be in the center of the river basin. And so all the reasons that big industry chooses Gaston County, and in particular McAdenville, is the reason why we chose Gaston County. Because we can get up 321 and I can be at our Morganton office in almost an hour exactly. I can sneak around the backside of Lake Wiley and be down into the Lancaster County, Kershaw County, Fairfield County part of South Carolina in 2 hours. And so for us, we are trying to deploy assets, resources, and people to a 26 county area in North and South Carolina. There's no better I-85 access in Gaston County than McAdenville. And it has made our lives a lot easier. Be able to jump off the 321 and get up north, be able to jump back down 485 and get to South Carolina. But the other piece to the puzzle was what the county is all about and what the FAR companies are all about, and really an ethos and an appreciation for what we have here in the county is what drew us here. We were not going to be able to afford riverfront property in Mecklenburg County. It wasn't going to happen. And so we immediately started looking this direction, and what we realized is there was an opportunity to build a business. Even though we're a nonprofit, we had 4 employees when we moved here. We have 14 employees now. We're the second largest employer in McAdenville. So it's an opportunity for us to grow while containing costs, because for nonprofits, like, we're still a scrappy little shoestring operation. But we're able to do some interesting things from a business standpoint here that we probably wouldn't have been able to do because of overhead restraints in Mecklenburg County. And so that was a big driver for us. It was also a quality of life for our employees. You know, since we moved here, I lived in Gaston County when we moved here. I won't lie, that was a big draw for me to shorten my commute. But what a lot of my employees who lived in Charlotte have realized is this is a really cool place to live. And it's only a cool place to live because we have cool things going on in the arts. It's a cool place to live because we have cool small restaurants and bars and people doing interesting things for your family. Both of my kids are Cramerton Middle School participants in the Lantern Parade. That stuff matters, and that stuff comes from the things that people in Lowell are doing, people in Cramerton are doing, people in Gastonia are doing. So to me, moving your business to Gaston County, you've got to make good business decisions. But part of good business decisions for us was, do people want to work here? We just hosted the Waterkeepers Carolina, which is the 15 keeper groups across North and South Carolina. So we had some economic development. We brought 30 people in for 2 nights in a hotel. They spent money on food. They hung out. But the most important thing that they did was see what it would be like to live and work in Gaston County. And that's not an accident. I tell our staff every day, we want to be the riverkeeper group in the country to work for. I want the best talent in the country in our work here. And that is true for every business owner. So that, to me, is why locating here is really important and valuable for small business.
That's great, thanks, John. So I'm gonna leverage this opportunity with all the energy you guys have to give us your perspective 10 years from now, 20 years from now. What's your vision for this place? Emily, I know you've thought about this.
Oh, you know what I see for Gaston County, because I do see a lot of respect for the history of each town. I do see a lot of respect for what the arts can bring. And I do see, so I did have a vision that I actually put down. On the way up to Hallstatt in Germany, there are these tiny towns, 3,800, 4,200 population. Each one of these towns has some sort of special thing that makes people clamor. This one little tiny town that was on a river, 3,800 population, had a chocolatier. And literally, you had to wait in line like you were in Manhattan. I see a vision of the towns in Gaston County, each finding a voice. You know, I think of that folk singer, I can't bring up her name right now, from Bessemer City, that was killed during the unionization, okay? Years ago, okay? I see that as being like, grab onto her, have a piece of public art that's her, and do music festivals, have music-based themes, you know? That's the kind of thing that I start thinking about, because we travel a lot to Europe, and these small towns each have this vibe of their own, but they all work together, you know? And that's personally what I see, have that trail of art that takes people all around Gaston County and just keep pointing to the next town and then have something that it is theirs. It can still include the arts, it can still include anything, but have some sort of specialty that will bring people there and then stay. Yeah.
Thank you. Eric, how about you? What do you think in 20 years this place, Gaston, should look like?
So
Not the real estate perspective, so.
not the real estate perspective. Well, I'm going to give you one. So, you know, we've continued to grow obviously in Gaston County, and it's our turn right now. It's pushing from Charlotte, and it's gotten obviously Belmont is about maxed out. I mean, Belmont is a great place, and but it's going to continue to push to the west. So I think that we're going to see where we are right now be a completely different place in 20 years. I think it's going to be a very special place. I think you're going to see downtown Gastonia be revitalized to what it once was back in the 60s. I think that it's going to push further west than Laurier Mill. It's going to continue. You're seeing the growth now. It's all there. But what I hope we don't lose is who we are. And it's these 13 municipalities make us special. The ability for us to all be in this room together and have people like Michael Peoples in the room, Brian Skiba, head of Gaston County Building Inspection. These are the relationships. Sean Corbett sitting there. These are the relationships and the ability for small businesses to have an impact and reach out to these folks in this room is very special. And I think we're going to continue to hold that. It makes doing business in Gaston County a great place. And for me to be able to call, or Emily, if she comes into the small business owner and says, I bought an absolute junk building, what do I do next? Well, you call this guy. And Brian Skiba is awesome. He is so important to small businesses in Gaston County. If you can say, Brian, I've got a building and I need help. This is the goal. How do we get there? I can call Brian's cell phone. He calls it back. I'll meet you there in 10 minutes. He gets over there and he's like, well, this is what we need to do to get you where you need to go. I don't think we're going to lose that. I think the size of our county and all these different municipalities, all these different leaders, Scott Adway sitting there too. Same thing. It's very special. You don't find this in Charlotte. You don't find it in Raleigh. You can't do it this way. It's a really unique county to be in, and I think that our growth will remain constant in 20 years. We'll be bigger, but I don't think we'll be different. So.
Eric will give you Brian's cell phone number later if anybody else needs to get a hold of him. My vision is that Gaston County is going to be the outdoor recreation capital of the Southeast. It is already starting to show signs of that, and I think in 10 years, if you are an enthusiast about anything around the outdoors, and you appreciate the cultural aspects that the county also provides, the quality of education that the county provides, not only are you going to want to come play here, but you're going to want to live here. Not in Asheville, not in Boone, not in Greenville, South Carolina. You're going to want to live right here. Because we have the opportunity to be a model about how not only do we build those resources in those areas, but how we also model how to preserve them for the rest of the country. That is vitally important, because you look at some of the things that have happened in Greenville, South Carolina, and Asheville, and the Boone area, and they have not balanced that approach. They haven't thought about, are we doing this in a way that continues to maximize the value of our outdoor resources? Because we've only got one river, and we've only got one Crowder's Mountain, and we've only got one set of green spaces to activate here in this county right now. And if they're gone, then that draw is gone. But I moved Catawba Riverkeeper here because I was confident that the people leading this county, from a business standpoint, from a municipal standpoint, and from a cultural standpoint, had that same belief. And we're going to play our part to make sure that balance happens. It is a balancing act. We do have to work together. Sometimes we have to push back and forth against each other to make sure those things happen. But I believe that that's what this county is going to be known for in 10 years. That people from all over the country are going to move here because they see what we value culturally and from an outdoor recreation standpoint.
That's great. Well,
Can I just say too, John really has done a great job in activating the river, and a lot of us have been in Gaston County for a long time. And if you don't know what they're doing, you've got to go check it out. If you don't know about the thread trail and you don't know about the kayaking on this river, it is amazing. A lot of people that have lived here for a long time have never been on that river. It's incredible. You can feel like you're in Linville floating down through the mountains. Go through him, get engaged with the river keeper. They're so important for our county in activating this natural asset that we have. He's done a great job, so kudos to you, my friend. You've done great. Thank you.
All right, well, there's a lot of energy up here. I'd like to shift that. There's probably some questions for the audience has of any of the panelists, of me, Michael, Todd. So maybe I'll just hand this microphone to any questions from the audience for any of the speakers today. Really? They answered everything? Yes, Jim.
I'll kick it off for you, Patrick.
Thank you, Jim.
A quick question for Emily. Jeff Stanley McDonald's, can you introduce me to him? But Eric, we're interested in knowing a little bit about where all these businesses are coming from. If you have any insight, Charlotte, New York, California, the people, the trending that you see, not only, where they're leaving to come here, but are there verticals, transportation, hospitality? Can you give us kind of an idea of what you see coming here?
Yeah. Thanks, Jim. Couple of things. The airport's a huge asset for us. I like to think of it as Gaston County's airport instead of Charlotte, because it's really easier to get to for us than it is for them. And that is a huge factor for us. I'll just give an example. A building that I own, one of our tenants is a Swedish company that is located their headquarters here in Belmont, and it's all because of that airport. So that's one. That's a huge factor. It's for the manufacturing side, that everything that Donnie's doing, these international companies, is ease of access to the airport is very important. Number two, everything kind of shifted a little bit from, even John when COVID hit, things changed a lot in the corporate world, and I think that a lot of the small businesses that were, or large businesses even, that were in downtown Charlotte shifted to these suburbs where their employees were located and opened new offices. So the 400 employees that were in downtown Charlotte got kind of redistributed closer to their home base to make it easier to work from home, commute in the office. That's where we've seen a lot of office change. And so we don't have a lot of inventory for office right now, and I think that's a result of COVID and kind of the shift in the workplace. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, any other burning questions out there? All right, we have two. Let me start with John.
Thanks, Patrick. Emily, cool question for you. Regards to the arts, you said that without the arts in the community, you don't really have a community, right? And how do we, it's not Holly's taken off. Love to see this happen. Some of the other communities have little galleries and things like that. What do you think what's the next big thing we have to do in the county to continue to grow the arts and become a relevant destination, right? You talk about Boone or Asheville, you have that, right? So what's the next big thing we need to do to connect the communities and get that?
Okay, so I have the advantage of being the sister of the man who led the group to create microfinance, which helps bring people together to create small businesses, but it's a system of lending and education. I would like to see us take that sort of same model for small businesses. When you get people invested, when I bought my building, actually took my hard-earned dollars and bought a building, I was immediately invested. And I think that's true. I think I've driven around, every one of our towns has a building at least that could be be identified as something, let's sell it cheap to the right people. In my case, artists were very creative. Artists bring people. I've been given spaces all over Charlotte for the last 45 years for free. All I had to do was pay electricity and bring my artist friends, okay? And so we would create happening little areas, and then, yep, okay, that's cool. So the only way that you can really find your place and really want to make an impact, because all of us were like, this isn't gonna happen for long, is make it so it's possible for these people to come together and buy and to invest in where they are. And I've just done this with a building in a small town in Ireland. Same thing. It was derelict, got a huge grant, and we're fixing it up. And we're gonna create a residency program for Americans to go over. We should have that here, because I tell ya, I've got artist friends all over the world that could bring and be something that people would want to come and see. Something different, you know? And just the fact that Mount Holly has dedicated a really nice budget for public art, and they use it smartly. Like, they had me do a sculpture for the garden. They had these incredible muralists do murals, but to make their money stretch a little bit, they've wrapped those boxes with student work. And the students are thrilled. You see them out there taking pictures. It's making pride in place, and a lot of that has to do with ownership. And using a microfinance model is a great idea to make that happen, because it's not just giving things away, it's lending and education.
I would echo that around the arts, and the work that we've done at Confluence in Cramerton has really opened my eyes that artists are small businesses. You know, if we can recruit and retain great artists to Gaston County, just like we do other small businesses, it'll help the entire community. The art that you see in Asheville and Boone and Greenville and other communities around the region that have fantastic art, it's always paired with the other things. So you're in a downtown corridor, there's a beautiful piece of art. You're out on a trail, there's a beautiful piece of art. And that starts to tell a story about how important art is to the community. And now, artists who maybe aren't into kayaking come out to the kayak launch because they want to see the cool piece of art. So, I mean, treating those artists with respect and treating them like small businesses is huge. Giving them an opportunity to live a life here, make a living here, because it's expensive to live in Charlotte.
Oh, it's impossible. Yeah, yeah.
All right, Sean, you had your hand up. One last question.
Yes, this question is for John. With the EPA's removal of the federal protections for the wetlands, how does that affect the work that you do there at the Catawba River Keeper?
Certain parts of the basin are going to be affected a lot more than others. And certain parts of the state outside of the basin are going to be affected a lot more than others. A lot of the changes are going to be around coastal wetlands that do not have water in them year-round, but they're seasonal wetlands. We have a few of those areas in this region, but because the Catawba is a highly managed, dammed river system, we don't have quite as many natural wetlands as you might see in the swamp areas of South Carolina or out in the coastal regions of North Carolina. So it'll have some impact. It really affects waterways that don't have water in it 100% of the time. So it's an unfortunate ruling, but for us in the Catawba, it's not gonna have a huge impact.
Well, thank you panelists, appreciate it. It was a very, very rich discussion, but thanks for the speakers to start us off. And we also have activities coming up.